I finished The Year of Rest and Relaxation. I want to talk about what I did like and what I didn't like. I'm going to start with what I didn't like first because it's easier and there are things that I really liked and I want to end on that. One, part of the reason I disliked it was just because it wasn't fun. And there is something to be said about reading books that are not fun because, one, reading is a hobby, of course. But two, like, sometimes reading is supposed to challenge you and make you think and reflect and make you feel. This book absolutely did make me feel. So in that case, I do think it's like a worthy read because I had a lot of emotion. Some of those emotions, though, were deep anger. I hated this character. I hated her so much, especially in the middle part. I didn't even find her that unlikable. Like, I found her like darkly funny. I found her a little bit relatable. But when Riva's mom dies, the main character is just such a bitch to her and is such a bad friend. Like, oh, it got me so riled up. And that's obviously because like it touches on my wound. And then like later on a little bit, maybe around 65%, I don't know, she starts calling Trevor with all of her like horrible things that she's saying just to try and get his attention. Like, she's making up like real lies that like, ooh, like really like got me riled up. And also she reminds me so much of my mom. Like, the calling and making up random things to just try and like reel him in is absolutely something my mom did. And I think just in general, reading about someone who basically opted out of life for a year because like, and used substances to help them do that, like that really was hard because that's like how my mom passed. So I think it was really hard for me to read someone that has the unlikable qualities of my mom that trigger me. And then also I felt like a weird mix of sadness and grief reading about what she chose to do. One thing I don't love, but I'm very conflicted on how I feel, I don't like that her substance abuse didn't have more consequences at the end of the book. I would say there was absolutely consequences, and I don't think anyone is going to read this book and be like, oh, this is so aspirational, I'm going to try and replicate. Crazy idea. And also, I don't know if it's the author's responsibility to like make it a learning, like wrap it up with a neat bow, make it a learning experience or whatever. It is a learning experience, but I just kind of wished she had a harder time coming off substances because she really, like, she could have died. A lot of the times when she was describing what she would take in her combinations and how many she was taking, I was like, how is this girl not dead yet? How has she not gone to the hospital? I kind of just wish there was like a little bit more realism around like the dangers of what she was doing and not just that she like wandered around and bought things. Like, that's dangerous and scary, but it like also didn't really like show the real danger that she was in, and the fact that she was able to just be like, now I'm done taking pills and I'm happy again, which is like not exactly what happened. It was more nuanced and more like dark than that, but that's like, if you were to boil it down to its very essence, that's kind of what it was. Okay, what I did like about it, I listened to it, which I think made it a little bit more enjoyable for me. Not gonna lie, that's why I did it. And because Julia Whelan is the narrator. If she's the narrator, I'm listening because I love her. I actually just got Educated. That's a side story, but she narrates that one. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. When I tell you, though, that not even Julia Whelan saved me from not liking the book, well, I kind of like it. But anyways, I like that it made me feel. I said that earlier. I like the way that it made me feel. I like that it challenged me. I like that even though my feelings were like not good, not fun experiences, I like that it was a stimulating read despite being pretty slow paced. I do love a character-centered book. The plot of this was there, but if you like a plot-driven book, this book's not for you. The plot is she sleeps for a year, basically, and is a shitty person. That's the whole plot. But I like the character study on, like, her. I think it was interesting. And I think one thing that I really admire and respect is an author who will write a book that's not going to be liked by most people. I think that takes courage. I think it takes bravery, and it takes resiliency to know that like people are going to read your work and hate it. I know people who have hated it. I kind of hated it, even though I think I liked it. The reviews on Goodreads and Storygraph, which you should follow me on Storygraph, I just switched over, are like, there's a lot of bad reviews. And there's a lot of people talking about how they really hated it. There are people who talk about how much they loved it, or how much it, like, loved might be a strong word, but I just think it takes guts to write something that feels true to you and feels important to you and tells a story that you want to tell, knowing that people aren't going to like it. I think that's cool. And I also think that, like, unlikable characters deserve to be written about. And this character was unlikable, but I think that her story of grief and pain and suffering deserved to be told. And it kind of ties back into it. Like, there's a lot of discourse about Blake Lively and how why do we need a perfect victim? Because the main character of this book is not a perfect victim. She's not a perfect, like, grieving person. And I think that is kind of something that we see a lot, is, like, mental health being told from the perspective of, like, but they're a likable person and that makes them worthy of, like, help and treatment and care. But this person was a very, like, her suffering made her insufferable. But, like, that story deserves to be told as well. I wouldn't necessarily, well, it did make me have some compassion for the people in my life who have treated me the way that that main character treats other people, because I think it's an entryway into what that kind of suffering looks like. I wouldn't say it, like, makes me change my mind on people like that. And also, I think there's something about reading about something like that that's so, like, very few people are going to admit that they feel that way inside. And I have felt that way inside too. I don't think I act on it, especially now, to the level that she did. I think that I, like, have a bit more self-awareness than she does or did. But I think if I, like, gave in to all of my shadow desires and shadow responses, I think I would be very similar to her. And I know that that is part of what elicited feelings of anger. Like, I was angry, yes, because people have treated me the way that she treats other people. And she reminds me a lot of my mom. And so that I did spend a good chunk of my listening time feeling, like, sick and feeling triggered and feeling like, especially when she's calling Trevor, like, that really gave me, like, such this icky feeling. And, like, I don't know, but I also think it was, like, I don't know, it was good for me to see, like, if I really did indulge in every fucked up thought and desire, and I, like, didn't have any self-awareness and, like, stopped working on myself, I would be like that. And it was kind of cathartic to see that played out. Like, in DBT, there's a skill called, like, run the tape or something, when it's like, if you have a harmful or risky thing that you are craving doing, like, run the tape, play it all the way out. And so I think part of this book is, like, it allows people to run the tape, which again is why I thought that it's not a happy ending. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert, this depressing ass book is not a happy ending. That's not even spoiler alert. But her arc is positive. Like, this year of substance abuse and narcissism and deep depression that's untreated, it did help her. And that's what I don't know how I feel about it. Like, I don't know. What else did I like? I thought the humor was very funny. I have a dark sense of humor, and I think I really appreciated her dark sense of humor. Yeah, I really like that. And it's also kind of like the reality TV effect of, like, it's fun to, like, read or consume content about a shitty person, because you're like, I may be bad, but I'm not that bad. It's kind of, like, validating, I guess, or just entertaining, maybe. On a much smaller scale, that's why I like Larry David, because I feel like he, like, acts on the things that I think but would never ever do or say. So it's kind of, like, entertaining for me to watch him, like, play it out, I guess. But this is on, like, a very much more dark scale. So those are my thoughts about the book. I was going to try and make this a minute and a half. 10 minutes, sorry.